Yes, yes, yes. The Saturday Sports Spectacular is here once again. And this is at least this is the one show where I can agree on the song. It fits. This show is very different than my other shows. This is all sports. This is all talk, opinion,
money,
gambling. Probably too much of that, which we'll get into. This is the Brian Moreno Show. I am the namesake, Brian Moreno. To my right, Richard Sarvate. There
Hello.
you go. Richard, how are you doing today, sir?
I am swell.
Yes. And last week, I have to say, because I was all over the place. I try to do my best in this show to explain some of the craziness in my brain. Because sports is I take it very seriously. Mm-hmm. And I don't always do the best job. I don't do the best job explaining it to you. I don't do the best job explaining it to the audience. Sometimes I am not exactly the clearest human in explaining some of the things that are going on in my brain, because I can be very ready, fire, aim. Mm-hmm. And that for a sports talk show where you're trying to bring the audience in, that's not the best.
Well, if you can explain to me anything, then you will have communicated with the average person, because I am the connection to the layman. And
Yes.
I proudly adorn that title.
Yes, you are. Richard Sarvate is the connection to you.
Hello, I am your connection.
Yes, and I sometimes don't do the best job crossing the bridge. Like, I'm swimming through the water when the bridge is right there above me, and that's my fault. Last week, at the very end of the show, I gave out my 4 picks. I hate to say this. I was 4-0.
I mean,
I was so all over the place in my brain, I almost forgot to give my picks. I didn't get Richard Sarvate, our professional amateur pick, out.
Well, I actually did put money on the Bucks, so
So you won.
I won.
But the audience needs to know. I mean, it was there in audio, but we didn't discuss it. I went through with Jersey Josh and Vegas Al, which I have to say, who are good gamblers. They're not moi. And I fancy myself okay. And much chagrin to my mother and maybe some other people, I have been sports gambling. I tried to pin it down in my mind today. I think I've been sports gambling since 10 years old. But we would bet RC cars.
Yeah.
Like racing RC cars. We would bet, oh man, the baseball cards I would lose and the night sleeps. Like you'd have good cars and be like, and you'd make your own RC car. I still have an RC car.
so you would bet the car?
No, you would race. And it's like your title for title, but you'd bet cards, like baseball cards.
Baseball cards.
Yeah, well, you could bet cars and you would lose. I never would do anything like that because I couldn't afford to get another car. But yeah, the RC cars, and you would race dirt bikes. We would gamble on how far we could ride on a skateboard behind a scooter. Like, somebody would have a scooter and we'd have the skateboard, and how long we could ride and then do the ramp.
I think anything can be gambled on,
And we would do it like maybe it was me, or maybe it was these kids that I don't even remember their names. Maybe one of them put me on the gambling, but I remember gambling with them at a very early age. And, I would think about like the races when we would have BMX races, foot races we would gamble on. And
foot racing.
Yes.
Yeah. A popular American pastime, foot racing. Who will be the fastest walker? Who will have the speediest feet?
Well, I don't think we were, when I say foot racing, I don't think we were, it was like slow, like heel toe, like a mall walker.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't heard.
I think there was more speed involved in what you're giving.
So you mean
credit.
running?
Oh, as some would say, as some call it.
Well, I like foot racing. Sounds like some sort of medieval term. It's like, are you going down to the foot races? Yes. In Guinevere.
So I think my foot racing days planted the seed for this show.
And I'm glad they did because
If that makes any sense. Does that make sense to you?
yeah, no, that made perfect sense. Yeah, you got your start in foot racing, and now you bet on the NFL. Two very similar sports. It's people moving quickly.
Well, no, and I have bet on the NFL successfully for quite some time. Yes, I've had bad years, but you try to reel it in at those times, and I found that when you gamble, you just have to narrow it down to like your best picks. When you start to make a lot of picks. Yeah. And you start to get, that's when you lose.
I totally have seen that. I think it's like, I would say bet on one. For me, I think like bet on one game a week is kind of where I'm at in terms of like, I am very confident about this, maybe two. But when it gets into 4 or 5, ugh.
Well, see, that's why, for those who are actually curious, and I will put the link in the bio just to see, I'm not promoting this application yet or anything, but there's an application called the Action app. It is basically, it's kind of an application community. There's also, there's a website too, and you don't have to pay anything for it, but you can click my link and you can actually see my bets. And I put all my bets in, almost all like in time, like there's a few halftime bets I don't get in time, and they should, my record. Okay, and it tracks all your records, all your bets. And my record right now it's 500 or slightly thereabouts. And I'm up 220 some units.
That's great, yeah.
So that's why when you make bets, it's not about necessarily your win-loss percentage. It's about how much you're winning.
And let's just clarify for our viewers, the units is like basically if your unit, it's basically what are you comfortable betting, right? So if your unit is $1 and you were following Brian, you'd be up $222.
Yes, exactly. Right. No, see, now that's a great way to put it.
Connection to the layman, yes.
Yeah, I bet, because I don't have the same level of confidence in all the bets I make. And some of it is just me, making a bet. Others are games that I have genuinely studied and thought about. I've listened to a lot of different opinions and then formed my own. Because if you do, because at some point in time, gambling is going to be legal in all 50 states. I don't care what you think about it. I don't care how Puritan your state may be. They're going to need the revenue. There's just going to be too much revenue loss from this pandemic.
Yep.
I mean, Florida's a little different because the Indians have control over the gambling in that state. So you may have to just go and bet on at Indian casinos, something weird like that.
Just, yeah, the Indian chief sitting.
Well, you can gamble on the Indian casinos in Florida, but there's no sports betting. Not that I believe. I believe it's sports betting is not legal.
And also, question for our viewers: how can they determine what their unit should be? Because some people, they don't know. They're like, I make my rent is $2,000, so I'm going to put $2,000 on this game.
Okay, now that would be a max dangerous bet. That would be a Brian Moreno kamikaze bet, which I don't. I can't speak. I can't speak to everyone, but it really depends on your ability to stomach risk. Because there's a lot, there's a reason it's called gambling, and there is a lot of risk involved. And when determining someone's unit, the first thing is you have to determine how risk averse you are. Because if you are extremely risk averse, a max unit bet may be $100. Doesn't matter how much you make.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter like that. If you're extremely risk averse, a max unit bet maybe 100, no matter what financial situation it is. I am not willing to lose $100 unless I am absolutely max out.
Right. So, but so a person could be not risk averse but it could still be a bad idea, right? So suppose I am not fearful and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to put $100,000 on this, and then I just lose it all. And it's like, oh, wait a second.
Okay, well then there's once you've determined your level of risk adverseness, you have to determine your ability to lose whatever you bet. Because if there's one thing that I have found that winners in sports gambling, because please don't be confused by a lot of the negative connotation that come in gambling. There are quite a few successful lifelong gamblers who do it very businesslike, and they don't, they don't run into some of the natural problems that I think maybe come up when people talk about sports gambling or bring up sports gambling. Mm-hmm. So the one thing that I see that successful gamblers have in common is how much they hate to lose. It's not like, it doesn't matter what you're betting on. You have to take it like a business, and you have to hate losing so much that you're not going to give in to that inner animal that just wants to bet some action, just wants to put action on the game. Mm-hmm. So determine your level of risk adverseness. Figure out financially what you're willing to lose, because every bet you go into, you have to think, I could lose all this.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to be, what is the max? Okay, look, there have been times when when I didn't know exactly how rent was going to be paid, but I knew who was going to win a football game. Mm-hmm. And I had to do what I had to do.
So, yeah, I think your level of certainty on the game also plays into this.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where max unit plays come in.
Yeah.
And when I say it's a max unit play, if you can afford to lose $2,000, if you have $1,400 of stimulus money burning a hole in your pocket, and I say max unit, you put your stimulus money on that, and you check back in 3 hours.
So, question: How many professional gamblers do you think there are in the world? We're talking they pay all their bills and all their livelihood solely through gambling.
How many?
How many? Yeah.
Oh, I could never determine a number like that. That's
ballpark it. Yeah.
Just off gambling, I would guess a few thousand more. Okay, this is a great question, because I think there are more people who pay their life through professional gambling than there are through comedy.
That's probably very possible.
If that gives you any idea on how difficult it is to be a comedian.
Yeah.
Okay. So that
kind of answers the question, yeah. Well, if I think about it, like, how many people in the world do I think pay their entire life doing comedy? I mean, I'm thinking the number is like a few thousand,
And
Maybe.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would say.
Yeah. So for gambling, it's going to be a little more than that. So
this is super wonderful.
Our dog is very excited.
Hey, Roberto. So,
but yes, comedy is very difficult, and gambling is even is as hard as it is. It's not as hard as comedy.
Yeah. So we're gonna get Vegas Al on the line. We are what we're getting into right now. We're getting into the end of the NFL season, and basketball's starting to wind up. Now, really wind up for me, at least. I know a lot of viewers out there don't really watch. A lot of people don't. Like the ratings tell me, people don't really watch basketball. Basketball is, people watch ESPN. They get their highlights. The basketball season this year without fans is it's difficult. It's really difficult to watch unless you're watching the way I do. because I care about rotations. Like I played, I got into basketball at a very early age, and my fascination with basketball has stayed, through baseball cards, through like that's where it started.
Through foot racing.
Well, yeah, through foot racing, and my love for basketball, I guess, was really solidified with Michael Jordan. I just think the season is without fans and without any great villain, because there's no good villain in the NBA right now. And you need kind of polarizing forces like this in basketball.
Well, I mean, who's been a villain in the past?
LeBron James, when he went to Miami.
Oh, okay.
He was, I don't know if you remember when he left.
He left Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah, and he did the decision, what was called the decision. All the money went to the Boys and Girls Club. It was wonderful. But LeBron James, right there, when he said he's taking his talents to Miami, he totally changed basketball. It became a completely powerless league for management, for ownership.
How so?
The players have all the power in the NBA. James Harden proved that. Once again, every year there's a player who's mad, and he complains, and he bitches, and he moans, and he finds his way out, because the players, these guys are getting $30-35 million.
What did James Harden do?
James Harden, he played for the Houston Rockets, and the Houston Rockets did everything they could for him. They put every teammate that could have made James Harden better, every coach, they put people around him that defended. They put people around him that passed him the ball. They did everything they could. And James Harden, all he did at the end of the day, he cracked in the playoffs. He always disappeared. Like, there'd be games where James Harden just wouldn't be there. Mm-hmm. And then this year, he looks at the team and realizes that it's no good, so he complains all year and gets traded to the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, who I may mention are 1-2 and have lost 2 games in a row to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I feel like me and Kyrie are kindred spirits. We're just sad men that get on the court every once in a while. I don't know. They were the comeback interview where Kyrie was talking. They were like, "Excuse, Kyrie, just are you emotionally and spiritually just well?" And he just nodded his head slowly.
Well, I don't know if Kyrie loves basketball, but a lot of people don't love the jobs that they do, and that's the thing. Kyrie plays zero defense.
So Kyrie is basically like a guy who goes into a 9-to-5 and he's just like, I guess this is the work. I got to throw the ball in the basket.
Well, he's one of those guys that gets $435,000 a game.
It's a nice little piece.
Like you get that, right? Every game.
Yeah.
Because that's how these players get paid, in game checks. They don't have a yearly salary. These are game checks. It's
just a matter, like, and he just doesn't appreciate it, right? He's like, it's another $435K. I hate my life.
Well, and I don't know if he hates his life. He just doesn't like his job.
Uh-huh.
And that's totally different. You can be good at something and not like that you're good at it.
So you think his dream was to be a middle manager at, like, Pfizer or something?
I think maybe I think maybe something a little more political, like something like maybe I think maybe Kyrie right now, what he's trying to do is figure out who he is outside of basketball too.
Yeah.
And he's also kind of failing to realize that his platform is basketball.
Right.
So when he's not there, he loses a lot of his platform.
Yeah.
A lot of his platform just becomes his money, which I'm sure he has enough of. But the thing is, nobody's been able to play with Kyrie Irving. LeBron James did it for 3 years. They won a championship.
I mean, they did win, though.
Yes, they did. They won one championship in Cleveland. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
I do think like Kyrie is kind of like building a bit air of mystery around himself, though. Like, oh, where does he disappear to? What does he do? You know, he's kind of like getting more of a spotlight on him now.
I mean, Kyrie Irving, he's very, he's a very enigmatic character that a lot of people haven't figured out. We have a Lakers game tonight. Lakers play Portland. Lakers are 10-point favorites. I've been pretty good at betting on and off the Lakers this year. Like a lot of times when Lakers lines tend to be inflated, they tend to be a lot bigger because more people bet them just because of the name, but the Lakers are good this year. I got to tell you, and if LeBron and Anthony Davis are playing, the line against almost every team in the league is going to be between 6 and 10 points. Almost every team.
I notice in basketball that the lines, like the game always stays very close. Like, oh, it's neck and neck. Oh, they score a point. Now they score. Like there's always a point in the game where it's like both teams are tied, you know? And it kind of makes it hard to bet on because it's like if you see a line like -10, you're like, that's just too many points.
Well, when it comes, I mean, games usually start out close, but last night, like with the Clippers take like a 26-point lead, and the other team whittles it down a little. Clippers I think they win by 16, 18, something like that. The line was 13.
I just feel like in basketball, when teams get a big lead, they kind of get lazy.
Well, there is an ebb and flow to basketball. So when you see a big lead, sometimes you got to just stay the course. And that's why on Bovada and those places, you can do live betting and sometimes get a really good line. You know, like a team will be a 16-point underdog. So let's get Vegas Al, one of our regular contributors to the Brian Moreno Show. Vegas Al is one of those men that I've been talking gambling to Vegas Al. Oh my gosh, I've working on 20 years, Vegas Al. We've been talking gambling and we got more conversations to be had. How you doing, Vegas Al?
Everything's wonderful here. Sun, cold, 56 degrees in Las Vegas. From Caesar's Palace.
Oh, yeah. See, I'd like, you know, that's who I've been taking to the woodshed this year is Caesars. Last week I was 4-0, and a part of me wishes I would have gone there. Oh my goodness!
Excellent. Hey, by the way, how you guys enjoying your lockdown?
we miss the places being open. I can tell you that.
I am becoming very socially weird, to be honest.
Well, I heard a little rumor. I heard that your governor still sneaks in the back door of the French Laundry at night.
It's a good 7-course meal, you know.
That's right. He doesn't bring as many friends. That's all.
Yeah. I bet
it's rather expensive.
How are you doing, Vegas Al? What now this week?
I had a good week. I had a very, very good week. In fact, I got some good things running right now for me, and a couple of teasers and parlays. So
I want to hear Vegas Al and I both hit a nice little teaser last night. I was
14 teaser. Yep.
I was explaining the Action app where I put my bets on. You know, and I have to say, when you can actually track all your bets, it adds a level of accountability. And I think as a gambler, you know that very well. You got to be accountable for your wins and losses in order to stay in the pocket. You know,
correct. And on top of that, you have to unit play your bets too.
Yeah, exactly. We were just talking about
unit play.
Yeah, unit play.
So I want to ask Vegas Al. So how would you tell someone to determine what their unit is?
Well, put it this way. I rate everything from 1 to 3, 1, 2, and 3 units. So you take 3, and that's the most you can afford to lose without blowing your mortgage payment. Follow me?
Yeah. Got it, yeah.
So let's just say we go with a $300 bet on the 3 stars. And then a 2-unit play would be a 200, and a 1-unit play would be a 100 bet.
Got it. So that's for somebody who, if they lose 300, they're going to blow their mortgage. Because you said 3 units is a max unit.
Well,
bet.
no, you have to. The biggest thing in gambling, this is very true to everybody listen to this. The most important thing is money management. I mean, money management, not chasing money, betting with your head, not going over your head, playing what you can afford to lose, not what you think you're going to win.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Okay?
see that's a great way to put it. What you play with, what you can afford to lose, not what you think you're going to win.
Yeah.
Let me explain. You gamble for entertainment. There are some Sharpies that gamble as a living, true, and they do very well. But the average person, the average public player, gambler, plays or should play for entertainment. If you're playing, trying to win to pay your bill, you're going to get yourself in a very deep hole.
I mean, that's true, but I have to interject and say I've never expected to get rich gambling, but I have paid a lot of bills gambling, and that's, that also determines your level of risk. Like, how risk averse are you, Vegas Al?
That's true, but you weren't gambling to pay your bills. It so happened to be you won, and you paid your bills with it. Correct?
Yes and no. There have been times where there's been plenty of times where I unfortunately, and it wasn't just sports gambling. I made quite a bit of money when I was starting comedy through poker, and I was able to pay some bills that way and stay afloat. And I got to tell you, if it weren't for Airbnb and the poker tables that are here in Los Angeles, and you sometimes, I would have never been able to make it through some of those harder years of comedy.
That's true. But, gambler has to be very careful. You have to know, you have to start with, they call it a bankroll. And that's it. Done. If you get an extra, $700,000 a week to play with, so be it, but divide it up in units, but don't chase, because if you lose that bankroll, and let's say it's Saturday and the NFL's now coming up, what are you going to do? And if you're going to start falling behind, and now you can't pay your bills.
Well, that's and that's another thing that people have to understand about gambling. It can be a very slippery slope for people, and that's why you always hear the horror stories.
That's right. You have to,
because it can be, and nobody ever wants to see that.
We've spoken when I've been in Nassau in the Bahamas, and I watch these guys at the sports book there, and they're ready to kill each other because I don't know what happened. They don't think they can't pay their hotel bill, for God's sake. It's just a shame. You really need to manage what you can afford to lose.
I was supposed to go to the Bahamas with Vegas. I was actually supposed to go.
You lost me.
Yes, I was supposed to go to the Bahamas with you before
the virus.
Yeah, the world broke down. Yeah.
They're open. Open now. I've got one more shot to go on my vaccine. And I'm heading over there, hopefully with March Madness.
Dude, that would be so fun to go to the Bahamas for a little gambling, some drinks on the beach, dude.
The Baja Mar is unbelievable. It's just you have no idea. It puts Vegas to shame, to tell you the truth.
Oh my God.
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about.
There we
Vegas.
go. First thing we're doing.
Let's say this: you've got the beach, you've got the ocean. Oh my God! All is contained within this complex. There must be 20 restaurants. There's just so much. And the casino is really great.
Oh hell yeah!
And the sports bar, actually, I had a long talk with a few of the managers at the sports bar, and now I heard that they're not going to allow smoking in there anymore. I used to hate it. The cigar smoking in there was horrible. Now you want to smoke, they put them in a little room that's enclosed in glass, let them kill themselves.
That's hilarious. I would have thought that you enjoy smoking a cigar here and there, just based on your attitude.
I used to, yeah, but not in a closed. I wouldn't do it in a closed area. When I lived in New Jersey, I had a home right on the golf course. And Brian knows his home very well. But it is right on the golf course, and I would sit out there, smoke a cigar. It was great. But I kind of got away from all that. I don't know. Just don't need it. But I'm smoking inside. To me, it's horrible.
It is. Well, no, I mean it leaves a stain on everything. And the thing is, in Caesars, the ventilation is really good in the sports book there. That's why I like that and the MGM sports book. Those are the two places that I prefer to play when I'm there. Now, okay, these are big.
Wait, let me just say one more thing.
Yes.
When I spoken to the manager at the Bahamar, my suggestion to him, and he kind of understood it. I said to him, "How many people still smoke on an average? It'd be 1 to 10. Let's say 100 people. Out of 100 people, how many still smoke? 5, 6, 7?" He says, "Yeah, okay." So those 93 people that don't smoke, maybe you're losing 93 people not to come into your sports bar because the 7 people are sitting there smoking. He says, "You're right."
Well,
I think, because I told him I'm not coming back here until this thing stops. Because you go away, you go to a beautiful hotel, and you only bring so much clothes with you. And every damn time I leave the sports bar, I go upstairs, I stink like smoke. Got to change my shirt again.
Well, I think the Corona probably helped it too, because people don't want to actually. You don't want to actually see yourself breathing other people's air.
It's so hilarious. Yeah, if the smoke is going into your mouth, that means the Corona is going into.
Yeah, with
the smoke in it.
Yeah, so I think your case got helped a few different ways. Now, these are big games this weekend. Vegas. Now, Jersey Josh isn't going to make the show today, so I'm going to tell you his picks right now are the Bucks and the Bills.
All right.
I'm shocked. He might have seen because I put my picks on the app already. Those are my picks. I'm giving them out early now, so I don't. I've taken the Bucks. I've taken the Bills. I've teased them, which means you take more than one team and you add points. But this is what I'm thinking, Vegas Al. I'm going to tell you first because I've made my thoughts clear. I think Green Bay wins. Not sure about the Bills game, but I think Green Bay wins, but I think Tampa Bay covers. So I bought it up to 4 points.
Interesting. Okay. Well, did you ever hear of a site that's called wagertalk.com?
No.
Okay. Well, there's one of the hosts. Her name is Minty Betts. It's a young lady from, I think she's from Thailand or she's Polynesian or something, but she's very good at sports betting. Anyway, she put up a post on Twitter the other day saying that which is the worst bet to make, and she put all 4 teams up. Right. So I answered her. I said, Minty, I said, there is no really worse 4 teams. They're the best teams right now in the NFL. So really, anyone almost has equal odds to win. They both have great quarterbacks. They're all peaking. That's why they got there. So if I can grab the points on any of these games, I'm taking them. So what I did, exactly what you did, I took Tampa. I took Tampa very early, though. I got Tampa plus, it's not 3. I think I got it right to 4. And I took Buffalo also. I think Buffalo, like I said to you, I still stand by this, is going to win the Super Bowl. I think Josh Allen every game has gotten better. Look, last week, a little tough game, but hey, it happens. But whether Green Bay wins or not, I kind of hope they don't. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan. But I do think both of the dogs will either win outright or cover. I've teased them. I've put them into a parlay, and I've taken them straight.
Yeah, see, I think when it comes down, and this is one thing I was explaining to Richard, when it comes down to the final 2 teams, Vegas usually has it pretty close. Mm-hmm. Like these teams, there's been enough of a sample set that Vegas gets these numbers real close. And if you can get the points, just like Vegas Al said, you take them. because I can see 1 and 2 point games, both games.
Well, what do you mean get the points?
If you can take a team plus whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you're not
do they
the
not always
favorite.
let you do that?
Well, no. I mean, there's a favorite and there's an underdog, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's -1 or a pick 'em. So that means you just have to pick the winner, and you're not really getting points. You know,
I mean, there is no really outstanding. Not like last year with Kansas City, for instance. Okay, there is no real outstanding team that's just going to blow somebody away. And Patrick Mahomes is going to play tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, it depends on Patrick Mahomes' foot. Like, yeah, he was cleared through concussion protocol because he basically got choked out, is what I hear. It's more like of an MMA choke. There's an artery up here.
Yeah, I heard he had a stinger more than a concussion.
Yeah, so he didn't really get, he passed all the concussion protocol. Patrick Mahomes is going to play, but he had that injured toe. That being said, they did drive up and down the field on Cleveland with a bad toe.
Well, the toe he injures is not his plant foot.
Well, and
happy for the run as well, but that's not his foot he plants with when he throws.
Well, see, you also have to put into account that at least the Bills have played Kansas City before, so they're not going to be surprised by Kansas City's speed. And teams that play Kansas City more than once, they know how to defend a little bit better. Just like the Raiders were able to. The Raiders went into Kansas City and beat them. I think we all remember that game because they were able to defend Kansas City. And that being said, is Buffalo's defense that good? There's a lot of people that are saying those stats are inflated because they played a bunch of garbage teams.
Exactly.
So I don't know, but I feel like
that's why I go with the points.
Well, and Colin Cowherd was all over Green Bay, and he said Green Bay is the most solid team. Colin Cowherd is a homie.
Well,
that's why I'm saying I like Tampa Bay even a little bit more.
Well, there's something about Tom Brady under pressure, right?
By the way, he's leaving Fox Sports.
He is. Why? Why? Where?
Yeah, I heard rumor that Colin's going to be leaving Fox Sports Network.
To go where?
I think he's going to come back to ESPN.
I don't know if he would do that.
That's rumor. I know he's definitely leaving.
Really? Well, actually, that would be.
I'm mistaken. He's leaving, and I'll tell you what he did. He bought a home in Las Vegas, right here. He's going to work with some type of syndicated network, I believe, for gambling, for handicapping. I believe that's what he's going to do. Why else would he buy a home in Las Vegas?
Well, he's good friends with R.J. Bell, and not just R.J. Bell, Jason McIntyre.
True,
but
he also posted something. I forget the exact quote, but something to the fact that things are in motion, things are going to be moving, and things are turning around, something like that. So, and he bought the house in Las Vegas. I think he's leaving Fox Sports.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to do a little more. But Colin Cowherd is a big sports talk show. When it comes to sports right now, I would say he would be the Howard Stern of sports right now.
Correct.
Yeah, he's not necessarily always right, but he's always confident.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people believe his takes.
So he's a gambler?
I believe he's more.
Yeah, but he's also a sports talk show host.
He's more opinionated than he is statistical, and I don't believe statistics only, but, well, when I get my 800 number, I'll give it out to your fans, and you'll see what I can do for you.
Well, maybe I can get some sponsors, and so you don't have to, so I can keep Vegas Al on the payroll, because I have to say we love your contributions to the show, Vegas Al.
Look, I demand at least 7 figures. So you remember that now.
Well, I'm happy that you do this for free. I can assure you, I'm thrilled. We have one basketball. Do you like any basketball?
Yeah, I was going to tell you before I leave. I want to give everybody on the show a little play tonight. Actually, it's my best play of the whole, and it's going to be LA Lakers and the Bulls over 227.5. You might find 228. I would not worry about it. I'm going to tell you a couple little statistics. Okay. First off, Chicago, the last game in LA, total ended up 230 points. Before that, last season finished at 232. The Bulls, Chicago, put up 123 points at Charlotte last night. They have also scored 115 or more in 7 straight games. Write this down. Okay? 110 or more in 9 straight games. The Bulls also allow 120 points, a whopping 121.2 points per game at home. Okay? Visiting teams connect on 49% of their field goals. Got this so far?
Yeah, I'm listening, Vic. You're not losing me.
The two previous instances produced 245 points and 252 combined points. So I'm looking for another high-scoring game, and the over is now 5-0 when the Bulls face a team from the Pacific Coast.
Well, I'm gonna take the Lakers and the over.
I know you're a Lakers fan. I know that.
Yes, yes, I am. I'm right
You've
now. As
you've
we
been killing it on
speak.
the Lakers.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Even betting against them because sometimes the lines are so inflated.
I know.
Because sometimes people just bet the Lakers for I'm actually putting 3 units on a Lakers and over teaser. 222 Lakers minus 4.
What's the Lakers, right?
The line right now is minus 9.5, which means the Lakers are favored. They have to win by 10 points.
And is it still 228 or 227.5?
227.5.
Okay, well, I think the game's going to go at least to 230, if not
Well,
more.
no, I like that because the Lakers, I believe the Bulls are severely overmatched if Anthony Davis plays.
True, but they scored out of points, the Bulls. They really do.
Oh no, they absolutely and they give up a tremendous amount of points. They play in an Ole type of defense. Ole, like a bullfighter type of defense.
And over 9 times.
Yeah, so I don't like betting teams on back-to-backs. I mean, just because they seem to tucker out at the end of the game. If the Bulls score 16 points in the fourth quarter and it goes under, it's going to be because they were exhausted. Because these back-to-back this year in the NBA, I have found that these teams on the back-to-back, they're not really the same. They're tired. Maybe they weren't in shape going into the year.
You know, I'm not a fan of that back-to-back stuff. You know, these kids are 20 years old, in the 20s, maybe early 30s. Man, when I used to play football, I could play all day long every day. I never was tired. Never back-to-back. Who cares?
Well, no,
you know?
the flying, it does take something out of you, Vegas Al, when you're up in the air. And I mean, even if all the seats are first class, it takes a little something out of you. The pressurization.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, but they were halfway there last night.
Yeah.
They want a charter jet. It's all first class. Nice meals.
No, I remember stories where they say you could fly, just the All-Stars would get the first class, but you could fly commercial and there'd be a basketball team on the plane just spread out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but a lot of these owners now own their own airplanes.
Well, sure. Yeah, a great many of them. Or they
Cheaper
have
for
deals with airlines, and airlines make them custom planes, and they
convert the plane for the team.
Yeah.
And the team's name and logo is on the actual plane.
Yeah.
I see it everywhere I travel sometimes, you know?
Yeah, man, there's not enough leg room for me. I can't even
Hey, look,
imagine
how you
for
gonna
an NBA player.
put a 320-pound offensive lineman in a on row 20B or something? Right in
Next
the
to the
middle.
bathroom.
now, I guess your picks tomorrow. Do you have any insight on the totals? Because I don't know what to think about the Kansas City game.
Truthfully, I'm not even looking at the totals tomorrow.
You're just taking the teams?
Yeah, they could go either way. I mean, I think taking totals tomorrow is a sucker bet. I mean, I think you're better off with points.
I think it's hard, and that's why I didn't want to go to Vegas this weekend, because it's a real tough road. I seem to be at a good place right now in my units for the week, so I didn't want to push it. Basketball seems to be clearing up a little. I know I'm really ramping up in my basketball. I'm really starting to pay a lot more attention. So that's good. What do you think? Did you see any of because I have the NBA package. I don't know if you're watching all the games like I am, but did you see Cleveland and Brooklyn last night?
Yeah, exactly. That was a good call on that one. Uh-huh.
Now I got to tell you, I think they got to get Kyrie out of town, because every team where rarely
he's a cancer.
Rarely do you get this situation, Richard, but sometimes there's addition by subtraction.
Uh-huh.
And when you remove a player, the team seems to be better.
Yeah.
And I think if you can get rid of Kyrie and get anything for him, you're better off, because Durant and Harden are good, are really good.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is he playing?
Today, Kyrie, they play the Miami Heat, and the Miami Heat are just totally battered. I'm looking right now.
I don't think he's playing. He hasn't played.
No, he's played the last 2 games. He's played. Kyrie, he might have played 2 games, but he's lost every game that he's played. Oh, yes, he's played 2. Durant has played 3 with the team. And they've lost every game they've played with Kyrie.
Do you think teammates are in love with this guy?
No, I think they have to get Kyrie out of town. But tonight, they play the Miami Heat. All 3 stars are going to play. So we have to see. I mean, Kevin Durant can play defense. Mm-hmm. It is optional sometimes. James Harden doesn't play defense unless it matters. And then Kyrie does not play defense under any so that combination, as well as I, Vegas Al, will never win an NBA championship. Never. You got to play defense to win an NBA championship.
And everybody picked the Nets to come out of the East, and guess what? They're 9-8.
I know.
What's that tell you? Guess who's going to win the East? The Sixers.
Well, I think the Sixers. Better coaching right now with Doc Rivers. They have a new coach here, Doc, much better.
Getting Doc Rivers was a great move, and I'll tell you what, he is not just a coach; he's a teacher. And he's getting the most out of Embiid. He's getting the most out of Simmons right now. It's going to be a tough team to reckon with, I'm telling you.
Now they play tonight. They play Detroit. Detroit, I believe, came off a very disgusting loss yesterday.
Well, you got to be careful with this game. It could be a trap game.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Well, Embiid might not play because it's a back-to-back. Joel Embiid is the center for the Philadelphia 76ers, and he may be one of the top 5 players in the NBA, but he's just not always healthy. And availability is another ability.
Is he injured a lot or what?
Yes.
Anyway, the Sixers are 11-5. Detroit's 3-12.
But that's what happens when you're 7 foot.
The Sixers opened up at 8.5-point favorites. They're already down to 6.5. What does that tell you? I would only play that game if I teased it.
Well, it tells you Joel Embiid might not play tonight.
No.
Just because it's a back-to-back, and the only way Philadelphia wins a championship is with him.
I wouldn't touch the game.
Yeah, and Detroit came off such a bad loss yesterday. It was actually one of but Detroit, I look at their lineup: Mason Plumlee is center, Jeremy Grant, Josh Jackson, Wayne Ellington, and Delian Wright. That is a national championship college basketball winning
Correct.
lineup. That is not an
That's
NBA
about it.
lineup. Okay?
That's about it.
That would win a college championship. That
Oh
lineup.
yeah,
That's
they
it.
would destroy it.
That's it. That's a really, really good line. That's a Duke like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah,
That's
maybe
like the New York. That's like the New York Jets. We still beat Alabama Crimson Tide.
Sure, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. That team would beat every college team, but they won't.
Exactly.
That's why Detroit's 3-11 this year.
they would crush me on the court for sure.
Blake Griffin's another one of those guys. He can't win. Like no team that where he's on wins.
Is he still playing?
I actually I don't know how Detroit. Yes, Blake Griffin, but he's injured.
Oh, okay.
He's injured. I was actually friends with the guy. Do you remember when Blake Griffin punched a trainer in the face?
No. I thought you were gonna say, do you remember when he did comedy? Because
No, Blake Griffin actually. There was a trainer for the Clippers. He was my friend. I still have all kinds of Clipper gear that I would get for free. Matthias. Yes, this is just all Googleable. And him and Blake, they were out at some bar, I think they were drinking. Matthias said something lippy to him, and Blake punched him in the face. Yeah, I think he might have broke his orbital bone or something. But yeah, the team had to pay him off, loses his job. Blake was his friend. Like he would have his car when he'd be on the road.
oh my god, dude.
Yep. No more free Clipper stuff after that.
Damn it.
Oh, Vegas Al, it's always great hearing your voice. We will.
You got it, guys.
We will talk soon. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. I think next week I might be over circuit. We'll let you know.
All right. Say hello to everybody.
You got it, buddy.
All right.
Take care.